Right.
What'd you think of the CM Punk promo? The internet was going nuts about Punk calling out The Rock and Punk calling out Cena. I saw lots of people saying that, this was his modern pipe bomb. I love the bit where every time he and Seth Rollins saw each other, they fought. I saw someone said, boy, this feels like Peter Griffin and the chicken from Family Guy. I thought it was really fun. I do think there is going to be a big reveal in this Rock story, but I really enjoyed the promo. I enjoyed the skit. I enjoyed the segment. And what's interesting is when you have a big show like they did on Saturday, it's how do you follow it up? And to follow it up with a Punk promo like that had everybody talking, man, that was
And,
pretty cool to see.
and this has the potential to sound so jaded. So I want to be careful how I articulate this, but 38 years actively in the business, but the Monday night car rides and having a hot show and hearing the stories, and this is where it sounds jaded. Oh, it's wrestling 101. When you have a elimination chamber, when you have a big show, a big moment, you better make sure that you pour the gas on, because you got to get to the next big, in this case, not pay-per-view, premium live event. So seeing Punk cut that promo and the wordsmithing of it, and it's for lack of a better word, Conrad, it is how it's done to people go away from that and say, oh man, that was real. Yeah, there were some comments in there and that's where the beauty of this business. So it is professional wrestling. Maybe I should say at its finest, when you have that kind of in-depth, emotionally charged promo, and it never gets old, and it's plugging the players. And but yes, Phil Brooks tore the house down with his promo, no doubt.
It's interesting to me too to think about what that means for WWE, because respectfully, once upon a time, the entire promotion felt like it was built around Hulk Hogan, and then later around Stone Cold, and then later around John Cena. But this time a year ago, a lot of the negative Nancy's on the Bird app were saying, "Oh yeah, but what about Cody once he wins the belt? Now what? Once he finishes the story, now what? He's nothing without Roman Reigns and the Bloodline." And it's like, they haven't even had Roman or the Bloodline around, and I'm not saying he's going to miss WrestleMania, but at this point, the doggone thing has so much interest without it. It just shows you how many characters they've really developed that have connected with the audience. I mean, this is a pretty rarefied air where the guy who's sort of been the franchise for the last several years, he's not really even in the conversation right now as we build for WrestleMania. That's a blessing for a promotion, is it not?
Well, and Conrad, this is where I feel like some of these words that I'm saying could feel jaded, but we live in a day and age that just because social media said, and you just go, no, no, the statements you made last year about, Cody's not going to be anything with the Bloodline. No, that was wrong.
Yes.
I mean, and we could go back from that, and whatever it is, it's just like the art of professional wrestling, and the online audience likes to chatter. I get that. They're emotionally charged. I don't want that to ever end. I want them talking about it. As we say, the worst thing is nothing's being said. But for the most part, a lot of folks online don't have the experience and like to, they just don't know. What they don't know, they really don't know. We run into it every day in our work lives. No, you don't have the experience. Unfortunately, you think you know how it's done. You don't, pal. You just don't. You don't have the experience. So, yep, the depth of the roster, but also, Conrad, the opportunities. I just think when you're sitting back and crafting stories in professional wrestling, you have to be nimble and know, okay, there's maybe an injury here or that, or no, we need to pivot here and make things fresh. Because when Paul Heyman and this Bloodline when they do figure out their place on Mania, what's it going to do? Oh my God, it's going to make the card feel even bigger. Because how many main events has Roman got under his belt now?
All of them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's professional wrestling. It's just fantastic. I mean, this Sunday's AEW pay-per-view, you kind of look at, oh, they were building it. I'm not comparing the two, but it's the magic of wrestling. And I don't say it's magic. It's just kind of blocking and tackling in a lot of circumstances.
I just think it's interesting, the follow-up act to one of the biggest moments in wrestling history, one of the biggest turns in wrestling history. We didn't have Cody last night. We didn't have Cena last night. We didn't have Roman last night. We didn't have Rock last night. But it still felt like a substantial show because we started with such a strong promo from CM Punk. And then later we saw Rhea Ripley lose her title so close to WrestleMania. It's a great time to be in the wrestling business. And it's an interesting time in the wrestling business too, because there's so much stuff happening in what we might call the shoulders of the business. I know where you're going. An announcement was made yesterday by the one and only Josh Barnett on social media, announcing that long time, multiple decade employed WWE talent, Natty Neidhart, the daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, is going to be making her GCW debut WrestleMania weekend for Bloodsport. I am super excited to hear what you think about this, Jeff.
Well, I oh, you can see this. Cody, are you sure? Come here, because I was at the sink. Yeah, and he showed it to me. Man, we just the business continues to evolve, and you know that as well as I do. It's Natty's not second generation; she's third generation.
That's right.
And you could just kind of see, okay, Mania weekend. Trying to think how to say this. It is the psychology of the view, checking all the boxes. So a WWE talent, no matter how you slice and dice it, is going to be certainly top 3 highlight of an independent promotion that weekend. That's kind of dominating market share is what I was trying to get out. I just think it's a smart move.
It's interesting too, because it does feel like a paradigm shift. For years and years, we saw no one inside of WWE work outside of WWE. When Triple H came into power, he allowed Nakamura to go work some shows in Japan, and now we're seeing talent like Natty Neidhart being available to independents like Game Changer Wrestling. Once upon a time, we saw other promotions doing that, but we never saw WWE doing that. Is this just another evolution without Vince McMahon? Can you imagine this happening if Vince was still running the show? Because it feels like his philosophy was much different.
No doubt his philosophy was much different. That's, there's a lot of chatter, and me being a basketball junkie, and they're talking about the face of the NBA and went from Magic to Michael to LeBron. But David Stern had a vision, and Adam Silver is the commissioner that followed him. They have different visions. The NFL, you can kind of see exactly the vision of that commissioner and the ownership and how they're viewing things and all they're making the product as international as possible. Paul's got a different vision, or Hunter, Triple H. He's got a different vision. You can't say Vince's vision didn't work. Look at the results, but nothing stays the same. Nothing. It always changes and evolves. And that for me is something that there ain't no doubt in my mind. It is the single biggest thing that drives me in the wrestling business today. And look, I've got my hands in baseball and gaming and all kinds of stuff. But as far as wrestling goes, outside the ring, and I love still getting the opportunity to perform inside the ring, but outside the ring is, for me, what really charges me is the fundamentals of the business that they're not going to change. How we arrive, whether it's distribution or marketing or whatever it may be, is going to be radically different. And that's what I always kind of scratch my head and saying, how are we going to get there differently? Because it's not going to be done the same way that it was done 5 years ago. In some cases, not even the way it was done last year. And so when you see Natty and GCW, okay, That's capitalizing on market share for the weekend, and they dominate. They really do.